Okay, thank you everybody for joining. My name is Tunde Agboke, and I'm a member of HP's Government Affairs and Public Policy team. I'm really excited today to have Will Brown, a senior leader from our Learning, Talent, and Development organization, here today to talk to you all about emotional intelligence. I know this is the final phase of the HPMAT program before graduation. So really excited to have Will with us here today to kind of close it off before the graduation. With that said, Will, I'm going to pass the mic to you.
Thank you so much, Tunde and Fatima. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be here. This is a very important initiative to HP, and I'm so proud to be able to present to you today. I am very passionate about this topic. Emotional intelligence is something that um, my team, we emphasize it throughout our organization, and it's something that's helped me be very successful in my career. And so I'll go ahead and get started. Once again, I'm Will Brown. I'm in our learning and development organization, and I'll kick it off with some learning objectives. So the key takeaways for today, and let me see, I'm not seeing it move. There we go. Okay, there it is. So the key takeaways for today is I want you to be able to define emotional intelligence. So real short elevator version of it. When you leave this course, you'll be able to define what exactly emotional intelligence is. Next, I want you to be able to list why emotional intelligence is important and what it can do for you. Number three, I want you to be able to recognize the skills emotional intelligent people use to successfully navigate their
Uh-oh, did we just lose Will? I think we might have just lost him. Sit tight, folks, 1 second while I believe he is trying to get back on. Had some Wi-Fi issues.
I think lots of internet issues. I read that West Africa is facing internet connectivity due to some cable being damaged, undersea cable. So maybe that's why.
Well, Will's in Houston, Texas.
I know, I know. I was talking about like other teachers may
Uh,
not be able to join there because
oh
I read
yeah,
the
yeah,
entire, a lot of places in Africa are struggling with the internet today. So,
yeah.
Okay, I'll try again. Okay. All right. So we struggle with that here in Houston as well. I'm in the office too, which is funny. So so anyway, number three, recognize the skills emotional intelligent people use to successfully navigate their lives. And number four, list three things you can do now to improve your emotional intelligence. So at the end, you'll actually have three things you can do today that will help you improve your emotional intelligence. Okay, I'll move forward. And feel free to stop me anytime during this presentation and ask questions. I will not take offense, and I'll actually be happy that you are paying attention. Okay, so on to our agenda. So first, we'll talk about what is emotional intelligence, and that's how you'll be able to define it. Number two, we'll go into why is emotional intelligence important. And number three, we'll discuss what skills do emotional intelligent people have. And then number four, we'll go into what can I do now to improve my emotional intelligence. And so we'll be using a tool called Slido for interactivity. You can connect with your phone. If you don't have a phone, if you can't connect, you can raise your hand. We can use chat. I'm super flexible. I just wanted to add some interaction. So what is emotional intelligence? Okay, so first, before I jump in and just ask a question myself, I'm gonna do a Slido presentation. So let me get it going over here. Okay, let's see. All right, let me know you can see it pop up. Right. Are you able to join Slido? Can you see the prompt?
We see the prompt that says describe emotional intelligence in one
Okay,
word. Yeah.
got you. All right, so go ahead and use your phone or use the internet, and you can actually use that code to join, and then you can actually answer the question, and we'll be able to see your answers.
I don't think there's a code on the screen unless I'm missing it.
Okay, let me see. Maybe I have to reshare because this happens sometimes. Okay, let me stop presenting this way. Let me share my screen. Okay, do it one more time. Oh, okay, let's try it this way. In just a second, there it is. Let me know if you can see it now.
We can see it now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I like that patience. Yep, patience with technology issues, patience in the workplace, patience with your students. What else? Don't be shy. Ooh, compassion, understanding. Okay, we'll let it go for another 20 seconds. Empathy. There it is. I like that one. Now we're getting hot. Empathy, compassion, patience, understanding. These are these all seem very simple until you need to use these skills. All right. Thank you so much for the participation. We're going to move on. Okay. So let's define what is emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence, or EI, also known as emotional quotient, refers to the ability to understand, manage, and express one's own emotions, as well as the ability to understand, interpret, and respond to the emotions of others effectively. Now, I want you to pay attention because here, the key to this definition is that emotional intelligence starts with first having an ability to understand, manage, and control your own emotions. And so you have to be able to control your own emotions first before you have the ability to understand, interpret, and respond to others. And the reason why this is because if you don't have control of your own emotions, then you're constantly trying to regulate your own emotions, your own behavior, and actually understand what's making you upset, what's making you happy, what's making you sad, and you don't have time to then interpret all the information that's coming from other people, because what your brain is doing when you're working with other people, it's very subtle and it seems it's natural to a lot of people, but with neurodiverse people, such as people that have autism and things like that, sometimes they have difficulty with these types of things, and you could see that it takes a lot of information processing to understand emotions of other people, something that some people do very naturally. To other people is very difficult, and even those who this comes very natural to, there's still a lot of work that's involved with understanding and managing and expressing one's own emotions. So do we have any questions about the definition here? Okay, thank you. So why is emotional intelligence important? Let's jump in and see. So, emotional intelligence is considered a key factor in personal and professional success. Studies have shown over and over that emotional intelligent people do better in politics, they do better at teaching and transferring information, they do better at work, they get promoted more often. So, emotional intelligence is a key indicator of success in personal and professional life. And then you can be very successful in the following ways: effective communication. So, emotional intelligence helps individuals communicate more effectively. Number one, because when you deliver a message, you are the presenter of the message, but when you understand how people want to receive that message, it's easier to convey what you're trying to get across. Um, and then when it comes to leadership skills, people have continually said in surveys within our company and in the industry, in just in general, that the leaders that people most likely want to follow are leaders with high emotional intelligence. They are able to inspire people, motivate people. And this is very important for teachers because a lot of what you're doing in the classroom is trying to motivate students who have a lot of things going on outside of the classroom. And you have to be able to lead with empathy and integrity and show them a better way. And then it increases your job performance. So no matter what you're actually doing, no matter what job you're doing, emotional intelligence across the board helps you become more adaptable, a better problem solver, and have stronger interpersonal skills. And interpersonal skills take you a lot farther than a lot of times your actual hard skills. Because there's always going to be a time when, even as a seasoned professional, you're still going to need help from others to get things done because the world is a very collaborative place, and emotional intelligence helps drive that collaboration. Any questions here? Okay, thank you. So, what skills do emotionally intelligent people have? Right. So, we'll do another Slido. And this time, we're going to see what the top skill is. So, what is the top skill used by emotionally intelligent people? We go ahead and join in. I love it. It's going to choose that one. Okay. Okay. Self regulation wins in a landslide. So, you're absolutely right. So, all of these skills are very important for emotionally intelligent people, but the number one skill is self-regulation. So we got that right. So we got an A plus there. Great job, team. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty, the actual skills that emotionally intelligent people have, and then what if, as we define these skills, we can see what skills maybe we're lacking or what skills we can strengthen as opportunities. So number one, self-awareness. We got that right. Yay us, go team. So this involves recognizing and understanding one's own emotions, as well as recognizing how these emotions can affect thoughts and behaviors. And so this is very important because your emotions affect your own thoughts, and your thoughts tend to affect your behavior. But they also affect the thoughts of your students, of your partners, in your personal life, and anyone that you're working with, any of your companions or colleagues. So it's really good to understand what your emotions are doing to you and how your emotions are affecting others. So self-awareness is number one. Now, with self-awareness comes self-regulation, right? So you understand your emotions, and now you have the ability to make decisions about your emotions and then control your impulses and your reactions in various situations, no matter how difficult they may be or how random they may seem. So in controlling impulsive behavior and managing stress and being adaptable is very important. And emotionally intelligent people have this in spades. Number three is social awareness. So, social awareness involves really tuning in to what other people are feeling, why other people are coming to a situation, what's their perception, how could they feel about it, and why they feel that way about it. And that's very important because now you've controlled yourself, and now you're able, you've cleared your cup, so that now you can fill it up with others' emotions, and it's very important. And that's really the key. So once you have self-regulation, you begin to build a skill of self-awareness, and you can interpret social skills much better, and you can act and respond appropriately to those social cues. So finally is relationship management. So once you self-regulate it, you have self-awareness, now you have social awareness, you're understanding social cues, your relationship management skills then take over. So now you're able to see that you have affected someone's emotions in a certain way, or maybe they affect your emotions in a certain way. And now you could take actions to maintain healthy relationships, build healthy relationships, effectively communicate your desires, um, and control conflict and resolve conflict. And the most important thing, and one thing that we always talk about here in the part of the HP way, is collaborate effectively. All right, any questions here? So now we get to see what, um, let's see, okay, there we go. So now we get to what can I do to improve my emotional intelligence? Okay, so right now, the number one thing that you can do is you can start to practice mindfulness. And so mindfulness is really just taking notes of how you actually feel throughout the day. So when you have a situation that happens at work or and you're in a classroom and you may have a difficult student or you may have an experience with a colleague. You need to take into consideration that scenario. Go home, keep a journal, write what happened down, and then think about how was I feeling in that situation? What could I have done in that situation? Um, what is there ways to improve my feelings in that situation? Were my feelings accurate and were they warranted for that situation? By keeping a journal, by practicing mindfulness and understanding where you're actually coming from, it opens up the door for you to be more self-aware immediately, right? So most people think they do this, but they don't. They let things happen in their life, they walk past, they don't think about it, they move on, right? But instead, if you want to become an emotionally intelligent person, this is key. It's actually understanding your emotions in the moment and then reflecting on it later, and that's practicing mindfulness. And then the last thing is seek feedback. So when something happens and maybe you don't quite understand it, go to others, go to people you trust, go to your faith communities. Ask, did I act appropriately in this situation? What emotion should I have had in that situation? Um, I don't think I responded correctly in that situation. How can you help me? Or what advice do you have? It is very important to build self awareness because we are not always accurate arbiters of our own emotions and what is going on to us. And so it's good to seek feedback. Next is enhance empathy, right? So practice active listening. So a lot of times, like with this is a presentation, and one reason I like to put in interaction and things like that is because I want to be empathetic of the learner. I want to care about what the learner is thinking. So I know that I am coming with the information and I'm the teacher at this moment, but I also need to understand, are you following me? Do you understand what I'm saying? Am I clear? Am I using words appropriately? Do you get what I'm saying, right? It's all about turning the situation into a situation to learn yourself in any situation. And by actively listening, you turn yourself into a learner and you're able to grow. Put yourself in other shoes. So this is going back to when the situation happens in your life, asking how did that situation look from the eyes of someone else? So you see how it affected you. You wrote that down. It's in your journal. You understood your emotions. You seek feedback. Now it's saying, okay, I wonder how they felt. How did I make them feel? Like, what are they coming to the situation feeling? Sometimes it's as simple as, I used to teach when I was younger, and I used to have students that would come in that were hungry. And so it wasn't until I understood they missed breakfast that I understood, okay, that's why your behavior is this way. And so I was able to do something about it. Sometimes I bring snacks, or sometimes I just understand that they're going to have a tough day if they miss breakfast. And so that's just putting yourself in their shoes because I know I get hungry. um, and then the other thing is to volunteer and engage in your community. By doing that, it brings empathy. It helps you understand that there are situations that are out of people's control, and you're able to empathize with people more by giving back, right? Last is continue to develop that self regulation. How do you do that? Actively practice stress management. Everyone takes stress differently, but we all need to take proven steps to manage our stress. One proven way to manage stress is to walk in nature. Walk in nature, look at trees, take in the sights. If you can't do that, cut on some nature music. It actually helps, right? Hearing birds, hearing the sounds of the rustling of trees, wind, it helps with stress management. Talking about your problems helps. Talking to a confidant, telling people, hey, I had a rough day. This is what happened. And venting, it really does help. It doesn't always work in all cultures because it's not something that everyone does, but it does help, right? Pause, always pause before reacting. It helps you calm down. It helps you get your thoughts together, and it actually brings down your stress levels when you're handling situations. And then at the end of the day, the number one thing you could do to regulate your stress is to set boundaries. Set boundaries in the classroom, set boundaries in your personal life, and understand what are your triggers to get you stressed out and to really take on that stress, and then set boundaries so that you deal with it much less in your life. So this has been my presentation. Thank you so much for having me. And I left some time for us to come off mute and ask any questions or just chat about the content.
Thanks for the presentation, Will. And I had one question for you as the educators kind of think through any questions they might have. Um, when you think about the different dynamics educators have to deal with in terms of either with their peers or the dynamics between them and the students or the dynamics between them and the parents of the students, is there any advice you can give in terms of making sure that they are handling themselves in an emotional intelligent way to make sure that they are handling the stresses of being an educator in the most manageable way?
Yes, yes. So um, in a continent as diverse as Africa, right? We have so many different cultures, so many different religious backgrounds, so many different languages, local languages spoken. You have to make sure that the number one thing you do is one, come into the situation very empathetic, understanding that each student is coming to your classroom with a totally different background, totally different family situation, totally different social economic status. And then once you're able to do that, you have to build bridges with the community in which you teach. And so that's the hardest part about being an educator is it's two jobs. It's teaching and transferring the content, and then it's the connections and the bridges that you have to build with your community. And so that would be my number one advice when it comes to emotional intelligence is being able to have that empathy with the community. A teacher that's not in the community with their students don't understand their students' backgrounds. They cannot address them. They cannot touch them where it matters, and that's the heart. When you're trying to transfer information to most people, you have to touch their heart. The only way you can touch their heart is to truly understand the student.
Thank you, thank you. So does anyone have any questions for Will? Oh, I see a hand raised. Jean, I think you can come off mute. Feel free to come off mute.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Brown, for that wonderful presentation. My name is Jean-Claude. I am in Rwanda. You talked about emotional intelligence and what are some of the challenges, especially for teachers? Because especially in the countries where we experienced some tough situations, like in Rwanda where there is a genocide,
Right.
and there was a genocide. So sometimes it is not easy to handle situations, especially these days we're experiencing problems with the current generation, those who didn't even see what happened during genocide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not only talking about it, maybe genocide we have in South Sudan and those other areas where we have those problems. Now, how can the government help teachers to be aware of a child's or children's background so that they can be able to handle the emotions? Yes, a teacher, maybe you talked about self-awareness, that is good. But I may be aware of myself. But if I'm not aware of the students, the people I am leading as a leader, or the students I'm teaching, so don't you think it may be a problem? How can now the government leaders deal with that so that everyone is equipped with information? Thank you.
Yes, that is a great question. And so part of that is that the teacher, there's so much responsibility that's placed on the teacher, and for the teacher to understand the community and the background and the history, and what's going on and who's coming to the classroom, right? But there is this component that you mentioned that there is a government component, there is a systemic component where there needs to be support for teachers, and the how would always be when you have like traumas, like systemic traumas, and this has happened in multiple parts of the continent, where we've had issues like that, where the government needs to come in and then provide that support, because some of it, like here in the U.S., we have psychological services and we have other things where the students are coming prepared, right, with information background, but we have our own political, hotbeds when it comes to that type of education. But that's where teachers need support. Now, emotional intelligence is mainly about what you can do to self-regulate and what you can do to control your own emotions. But the point you're bringing up here is that how do you act as psychologist for your student? How do you act as, sometimes the kids are coming to class, they're not, they haven't eaten. I mean, it happens here in the U.S. all the time. Kids come to class, they haven't had a meal. And so at that point, that's where, as a teacher, it's out of your control. But what you can do as a teacher is, through your channels, raise that awareness like you did here. Try to influence what you can. But only thing you really can do, and why I focus so much on the emotional intelligence side of just self-regulation, is because that's all you really can control. Because in the end of the day, as educators, we want to reach into the household, and we want to help the students as much as we can. And some teachers, I know, I come from a family of educators, so my parents would buy kids clothes, buy kids food, all these kind of things. But at some point, you reach your limit as a teacher. So what the focus here is on what you can do to prepare yourself emotionally for that kind of trauma that came from a historical event like that, or a historical tragedy. You can prepare yourself for it, but on your own, it's hard for you to do it without support of your government.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Will. And really appreciate your time today. Before I say goodbye, I don't want to cut anybody off. Is there any other questions we have for Will before we thank him and say goodbye? Because I know we're at time, and I know it's late over there on the other side of the world, so I don't want to keep anybody too late. Well, okay. Will, again, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you taking the time to make this presentation on emotional intelligence, and we are going to make sure to share the recording to the larger group of the cohort who are unable to join today. So really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.